A'ja Wilson just got the biggest reality check of her career. After 2 years of throwing shade at Caitlin Clark and relying on favorable WNBA refs to carry her game, Team USA just delivered the ultimate slap in the face. They kicked her off the roster and handed Clark a starting spot in the selection pool for 2026 and 2028. Sources close to the team say Wilson's meltdown was epic when she found out. Here's why her toxic behavior finally caught up with her and how Clark's professionalism just secured her place as the future of women's basketball. Wilson's game has a fatal flaw that old guard WNBA fans never talk about. She averages nearly 12 free throw attempts per game because she's mastered the art of selling contact to referees. Every drive to the basket comes with an extra flourish. Every defensive contest gets turned into a foul call. WNBA refs have been calling these marginal contacts for years, turning Wilson into an offensive machine that runs on special whistles instead of pure skill. But here's what Team USA coaches discovered when they watched Wilson play internationally over the past few years. FIBA referees don't care about your MVP trophies or your reputation. They let players battle through contact that would send Wilson to the free throw line 10 times in a WNBA game. The physical style of international basketball exposes players who depend on favorable calls instead of creating their own offense. Caitlin Clark operates completely differently. She pulls up from 30 feet out and drains shots that no referee can take away from her. When defenders make contact, she finishes through it without expecting a whistle. Her step-back three-pointers and deep-range shots don't require any official intervention. Clark beats defenders with footwork, shot selection, and basketball IQ that translates to any court in the world. Team USA scouts watched Wilson struggle during international exhibitions when the calls dried up. Her scoring efficiency dropped dramatically when FIBA officials let defenders play physical defense without constant interruptions. Meanwhile, Clark's numbers stayed consistent because her game doesn't rely on referee interpretation. She creates separation with her release point and shooting range, not by drawing fouls on marginal contact. The difference becomes obvious when you watch how each player attacks the basket. Wilson initiates contact and waits for the whistle. Clark anticipates the contact and adjusts her shot to score through it. Wilson's approach works perfectly in the WNBA, where officials protect offensive players. Clark's method works everywhere because it's built on skill rather than gaming the system. International basketball requires players who can maintain their effectiveness regardless of officiating style. FIBA games flow differently than WNBA contests, with fewer interruptions and more physical play allowed. Wilson's foul-baiting techniques become liabilities when referees let both teams play through contact. Her scoring rhythm gets disrupted when the calls she expects don't come. Team USA coaches prioritize adaptability when building rosters for World Cups and Olympics. They need players who can adjust their approach based on how games get officiated in different countries. Wilson's dependence on specific officiating conditions makes her a risk for international competition. Clark's self-reliant scoring makes her valuable in any basketball environment. The choice became clear when Team USA evaluated both players under FIBA rules. Wilson needed special treatment to maintain her production levels. Clark maintained her impact regardless of how tight or loose the officials called the game. One player required favorable conditions to succeed. The other created her own success through pure basketball ability. So how did Wilson really react when she found out she's off Team USA? Wilson thought December was going to be just another month of dominating headlines and collecting praise. Instead, she got hit with news that shattered her entire worldview. Team USA released their selection pool roster for the upcoming camps, and Wilson's name was nowhere to be found. Sources close to the Las Vegas Aces organization describe her reaction as a complete emotional meltdown that lasted for days. The player who spent 2 years believing she was untouchable just discovered she got replaced by the exact person she tried to tear down. Clark received her invitation to join the senior national team pool while Wilson got left out entirely. The irony burns deeper when you realize Wilson spent countless hours on social media questioning why Clark deserved any recognition at all. Wilson immediately started making desperate phone calls to Team USA officials demanding explanations for her exclusion. She reportedly went through multiple contacts within USA Basketball, trying to understand how this decision got made. Her representatives scrambled to get meetings with coaching staff members who had already moved on to evaluating the selected players. Meanwhile, Clark was receiving congratulatory messages from teammates, coaches, and fans celebrating her invitation to represent her country. She responded with typical grace and humility, expressing gratitude for the opportunity and excitement about learning from veteran players. The contrast between their reactions tells you everything about their character differences. Clark posted a simple thank you message on social media without taking shots at anyone or demanding explanations. Wilson's camp started floating stories about scheduling conflicts and prior commitments that supposedly prevented her participation. Nobody believed these obvious attempts to save face after getting cut from the team. Team USA coaches had been watching Wilson's behavior toward Clark for months before making their roster decisions. Every passive-aggressive comment and cryptic social media post got noted by officials who value team chemistry and professionalism. Wilson's attacks on the league's biggest star demonstrated exactly the kind of toxic attitude that destroys team environments. Clark's response to Wilson's harassment actually strengthened her case for national team inclusion. She never responded with personal attacks or petty social media posts. She focused on her game and let her performance speak for itself while Wilson wasted energy on jealousy and negativity. The message from Team USA became crystal clear through their roster selections. Toxic behavior has real consequences, even for former stars who thought their past accomplishments guaranteed future opportunities. They chose character over chaos, professionalism over pettiness, and team builders over team destroyers. Wilson's tantrum about getting excluded confirmed exactly why Team USA made the right choice. A player who can't handle not being selected for a roster definitely can't handle the pressure of representing her country on the world's biggest stage. Her emotional breakdown proves she lacks the mental toughness required for international competition. Clark earned her spot through talent and character, while Wilson lost hers through jealousy and poor judgment. The player who couldn't handle criticism from fans definitely couldn't represent American basketball with the grace and dignity the position requires. Wilson felt completely secure when she decided to start targeting Clark in 2024. She had 4 MVP awards, 3 championship rings, and years of being the alleged face of women's basketball. Every cryptic tweet and passive-aggressive comment felt justified to someone who thought she owned the spotlight. Wilson's camp convinced themselves they were protecting the integrity of professional women's basketball. They saw Clark's massive media coverage as disrespectful to players who had been grinding in the WNBA for years. Wilson started liking posts that questioned whether Clark deserved her recognition. She shared content that highlighted veteran accomplishments while Clark was breaking college records. Team USA coaches were watching every single interaction. They noticed how Wilson responded to Clark's success with skepticism instead of celebration. When Clark received Time magazine's Athlete of the Year award, Wilson's social media activity showed doubt rather than support for women's basketball getting mainstream recognition. USA basketball officials took note of who built up the sport and who tried to tear it down. Wilson's interviews became increasingly pointed as Clark's popularity exploded. She started using phrases like real impact and sustained excellence in ways that clearly targeted Clark's achievements. Wilson questioned Clark's actual influence on the sport, while Clark was selling out arenas and bringing new fans to women's basketball. Her comments aged terribly when Clark's numbers started shattering records. The social media posts tell the real story. Wilson shared statistics about veteran scoring records and longtime WNBA viewership in direct response to Clark coverage. She couldn't handle that someone more talented and marketable was changing the conversation around women's basketball. Every post revealed her insecurity about losing her position as the league's biggest star. Wilson turned every Clark achievement into a personal attack on her own legacy. She made Clark's success about herself instead of celebrating what it meant for women's basketball. Team USA coaches watched this behavior for 2 full years before making their roster decisions. They saw exactly who would represent American basketball with class and who would create drama. Wilson wrote her own exit letter from the national program with every jealous comment. She thought she was protecting her reputation, but she was actually destroying her standing with Team USA leadership. The player, who couldn't celebrate another woman's success, definitely couldn't represent her country with the professionalism required. Wilson created the exact narrative that got her kicked off Team USA. Her 2-year campaign against Clark backfired completely. She hurt her own reputation while making Clark look even better by comparison. Clark received her Team USA invitation while Wilson was still making angry phone calls to anyone who would listen. She immediately started preparing for the December evaluation camp with the same work ethic that made her a college legend. Clark understood this opportunity represented more than just making a roster. She was stepping into the role Wilson thought belonged to her permanently. The chemistry between Clark and Aaliyah Boston gives Team USA something Wilson's personality never could provide. Boston and Clark developed their connection during college when Boston was dominating at South Carolina and Clark was breaking records at Iowa. Their mutual respect and shared commitment to winning creates the foundation for a championship team. Wilson's ego would have demanded everything revolve around her individual success. Team USA coaches see Clark as the perfect ambassador for American basketball on the global stage. Her professionalism during Wilson's attacks proved she can handle pressure and criticism without creating drama. Wilson demonstrated the exact opposite qualities when she couldn't celebrate another player's achievements. The December camp serves as Clark's official coronation as the new face of women's basketball internationally. Wilson's exclusion sends a clear message to every WNBA player about what Team USA values. Statistical achievements matter, but character and marketability carry equal weight when representing your country. Players who build up women's basketball get rewarded. Players who tear down their competitors get left behind. Wilson chose jealousy over leadership and paid the ultimate price. Clark's appeal extends far beyond American borders in ways Wilson's brand never could. International fans fell in love with Clark's long-range shooting and competitive spirit during her college career. She brings excitement and athleticism that translates across cultures and languages. Wilson's one-dimensional approach to marketing herself focused primarily on established basketball fans rather than growing new audiences. The 2026 World Cup and 2028 Olympics will showcase Clark's leadership abilities on basketball's biggest stages. Team USA coaches plan to build their offensive system around Clark's unique skill set and basketball IQ. Wilson's drama would have created unnecessary distractions during preparation and competition. Clark's focus stays locked on team success rather than individual recognition. Team USA made their choice between past accomplishments and future potential incredibly easy. Wilson's behavior over the past 2 years eliminated any difficult decisions about roster construction. Her attacks on Clark revealed exactly the kind of toxic attitude that destroys team chemistry. Clark's grace under pressure showed exactly the leadership qualities required for international success. Clark's professionalism earned her the crown Wilson assumed was hers forever. The player who spent years as the face of women's basketball got replaced by someone more talented and more marketable. Wilson's entitled attitude cost her everything she thought she owned. Clark's humble approach to stardom won her opportunities. Wilson will never get back. The Golden Goose finally gets her golden opportunity while the former queen washes from home. Clark represents the future of American basketball, while Wilson represents everything the sport needs to leave behind. Wilson's downfall shows that raw talent means nothing when you poison team chemistry with jealousy and entitlement. Her 2 MVP awards couldn't save her from the consequences of attacking the league's biggest star. Team USA coaches watched Wilson's behavior for years before making their decision. They chose the player who builds up women's basketball over the one who tears it down. Clark earned everything Wilson lost through professionalism and pure basketball skill. Her invitation to Team USA represents a changing of the guard in American women's basketball. The 2026 World Cup becomes appointment television with Clark leading a new generation that values teamwork over toxic competition.